They were only 30 minutes from home, but the moment they stepped into the subway station, the entire family vanished as if they had never existed. Jackson, Mississippi, April 12, 2016. It was a calm spring evening, the temperature pleasant, and the streets were growing quiet as the clock ticked past 7:30 p.m. at Jackson Central Station. Dozens of people hurried about, each rushing in their own direction, but only one family would leave behind a question that haunts everyone to this day: the Washington family, Marcus, Alicia, and their 2 children. Kiana and Micah were last seen in the ticketing area. They stood close together. Marcus bent down to say something to his daughter. While Alicia was busy adjusting the little boy's jacket, it looked like an ordinary, peaceful moment. But it became the final image anyone would ever have of them. No one in the station heard a scream. No one reported any struggle. And when the station's loudspeaker announced the approaching train, they simply disappeared into the crowd. Their dinner plates at home were still warm. The family dog barked hoarsely in the yard until it lost its voice. But at that subway station, every trace of the Washingtons came to an end. A short trip turned into a journey with no return. What happened in those brief, fleeting minutes, and who was behind it all? Marcus Washington was born and raised right in the heart of Jackson, Mississippi. He grew up in a neighborhood filled with the laughter of kids, old bicycles rattling down the street, and hot, sweaty summer afternoons overflowing with family warmth. Marcus wasn't just smart, he was patient. From a young age, he would take apart anything in the house with the screw alarm clocks, TV remotes, and put them back together perfectly, like they'd never been touched. After graduating from Mississippi State University, he landed a job as a mechanical engineer at a local shipyard, where his colleagues admired his meticulous nature and genuine kindness. Marcus wasn't the flashy type. He was quiet, unassuming, but his eyes always carried a spark of optimism. He lived by one simple belief: a good job is just the foundation. Family is everything. Meeting Alicia was the biggest turning point of Marcus' life. They crossed paths at a community food fair in 2007, where Alicia was selling her family's homemade baked goods next to his friend's booth. Alicia caught everyone's attention not just with her rich, gooey chocolate chip cookies, but also with her radiant smile, warm voice, and confident presence. She was the kind of woman who radiated warmth, instantly making people feel welcome, even if they'd just met her. Friends, family, and even customers at the bakery she managed would say. When you step into Alicia's shop, it's like walking into your grandma's kitchen full of sweet smells and laughter after 2 years of dating. Marcus and Alicia were married in a small, cozy ceremony in the backyard of Marcus's parents' home. There were no fancy venues or extravagant decorations, just a few wooden tables draped with white cloths, jars of yellow daisies, and their loved ones gathered close. That was how they chose to start their life together: simple, heartfelt, and real. Once married, they bought a small cream-colored house on the outskirts of Jackson, with a brown shingle roof and a front yard of lush grass that Marcus carefully trimmed every weekend. Alicia planted lavender and wild daisies so that every morning when they opened the windows, the breeze carried sweet scents into the living room. Their 2 children, Kiana and Micah, were born soon after, filling the young couple's lives with endless joy. Kiana, the 5-year-old big sister, was sharp and curious, always drawing huge pictures on letter-sized paper, often sketching her parents as superheroes. Micah, the 3-year-old little brother, was gentle and quiet. With dimples so cute, everyone wanted to scoop him up. The house came alive with energy whenever the children's giggles rang through the halls. The Washington family had a special ritual. Every Friday night was movie night. Marcus would rent the latest animated movie. Alicia made popcorn, and the whole family piled together under a giant comforter on the couch. They'd laugh until their sides hurt or fall asleep right there after a long week. On Sunday mornings, they'd head to the nearby park, where Marcus taught Kiana how to ride her bike while Alicia fed Micah little cookies. By lunchtime, they'd stop by their favorite small cafe on the corner for crispy chicken sandwiches everyone loved. The weekdays were busy. Marcus tackled demanding projects at the shipyard. Alicia hustled to fill bakery orders. Kiana attended preschool, and Micah spent his days at daycare. Yet, no matter how hectic things got, They always sat down together for dinner, a time to share little stories, joys, and worries. The Washingtons' life wasn't lavish, but it was overflowing with love. They had no enemies, no big debts, no conflicts with anyone. To their friends, they were the picture of a close-knit family. To their community, they were a symbol of hard work and optimism, and that's exactly why their sudden disappearance wasn't just a devastating shock to their loved ones, it sent ripples of disbelief through the entire community. April 12, 2016 began like any other day for the Washington family. Marcus left the shipyard a little before 4 p.m., an hour earlier than usual, because he wanted to prepare a special dinner to celebrate Alicia's upcoming birthday. He stopped by the supermarket near their home to pick up extra vegetables, some meat, and a small birthday cake. Meanwhile, Alicia picked up Kiana from preschool at 4:30 p.m., then swung by the daycare to get Micah on the way home. She even found time to text her mother, "Come by tomorrow. I'll cook your favorite dish." Back at home, Alicia turned on some soft music and began prepping ingredients in the kitchen. Kiana and Micah ran around the living room, occasionally darting over to hug their mom or beg for a slice of apple. Marcus arrived around 5:15 p.m., set the grocery bags down, ruffled his kid's hair, and kissed Alicia on the cheek. The entire house was filled with warmth and happiness. Dinner was set on the table around 6 p.m. Marcus washed his hands and lifted Micah into his chair, while Alicia fixed Kiana's hair, ready for a peaceful, cozy evening. But barely 30 minutes later, things took a strange turn. As the clock passed 6:30 p.m., Marcus' phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The message was short: "Be at Jackson Station before 8 p.m. I have something important." Marcus didn't recognize the number, but the area code showed it was from somewhere in downtown Jackson. He frowned, leaning against the kitchen sink, reading the message over and over. Alicia walked up and asked what was wrong. Marcus hesitated for a second, then said quietly, "Someone wants to meet about work at the station." Alicia couldn't hide her worry, but Marcus reassured her, "We'll just go for a bit and be right back. You go ahead and feed the kids." Still, Alicia paused. "I don't want you going alone. Let's all go together so I won't worry." Marcus thought for a moment and agreed. It was only a 20-minute drive from their house to Jackson Station. They changed clothes quickly, bundled Kiana and Micah into jackets. Marcus grabbed his backpack with work documents, and Alicia packed some cookies in case the kids got hungry. Around 7 p.m., Marcus's old blue pickup rolled out of the neighborhood. A neighbor saw their truck leaving and waved to Kiana, who pressed her face against the window and grinned brightly. It was the last time anyone on their street would ever see the Washington family. The drive to Jackson Station wasn't far, but they caught a few red lights along the way, so they didn't arrive at the station parking lot until close to 7:35 p.m. Marcus killed the engine and checked his watch. He still had 25 minutes before the 8 p.m. meeting. They got out, Marcus carrying Micah, and Alicia holding Kiana's hand, together. They crossed the narrow street leading to the entrance of Jackson Central Station, where the yellow glow of streetlights cast long shadows on the gray brick walls, giving the place a slightly somber feel. The station wasn't exactly crowded, but it wasn't empty either. A few dozen people milled about, and the PA system echoed announcements that the next train would arrive at Platform 2 in 15 minutes. Alicia sat down on a bench with Micah in her lap, while Marcus went to buy a bottle of water from a vending machine. A witness later reported seeing the Washington family near the ticket counter, looking perfectly normal, just a bit rushed. He remembered them clearly because of Kiana's bright pink headband. She was bouncing around, tugging at her mom's hand. Marcus kept glancing at his watch, then scanning the area, clearly waiting for someone. At 7:45 p.m., a station security guard noticed a man wearing a black jacket and a baseball cap approaching Marcus. They spoke briefly, although the guard was nearby. He couldn't hear what they were saying. A few minutes later, the guard walked off to patrol another section, and when he looked back, the Washington family was gone. When police later checked the data from the station's automated ticket scanners, they found no record of the Washington's credit cards or electronic tickets being used to enter the train platforms. Security cameras captured them walking into the ticketing area, but no footage showed them going down the stairs to the platforms or exiting through any other doors. GPS data from Marcus's pickup showed the vehicle parked at 7:32 p.m. and remaining stationary until at least 7:50 p.m. After 8 p.m. There was no further signal from Marcus or Alicia's phones. The text message Marcus had received could never be traced. The SIM card was deactivated shortly after. The next morning, Alicia's mother tried calling but couldn't reach them. She wasn't worried at first, thinking they were busy, but by afternoon, when Marcus and Alicia were still unreachable, fear began to set in. 2 days later, police received an official missing persons report. When they arrived at the parking lot, they found Marcus' pickup still there, complete with the children's car seats, Kiana's little backpack with a coloring book, and some snack wrappers. There were no signs of a struggle or blood. Jackson Central Station became the primary crime scene for the disappearance. Witnesses insisted they hadn't seen the family board a train, take a taxi, or walk away from that moment on. There were no clear leads in less than 20 minutes, right in the middle of the city. A happy family had vanished without a trace, leaving behind questions no one could answer. Right after receiving the official missing persons report from the family, Jackson police began searching the Washingtons' home on April 14th, 2 days after they vanished. The small house in the suburban neighborhood looked frozen in time. The living room lights were still on. Dinner plates sat almost untouched on the table, the food cold. Half-full cups of milk, a small spoon lying on the floor. In the kitchen, a pot of soup still gave off a faint smell, proving dinner had been abruptly interrupted rather than abandoned by choice. Children's toys were scattered across the living room. On the desk by the window, Marcus' notebook lay open with a line scribbled 8 p.m. Central Station, along with an unfamiliar phone number not saved in his contacts. Police found wallets, bank cards, even both Marcus and Alicia's passports still in a drawer, ruling out any plan to flee the country. There were no packed suitcases, clothes, or luggage prepared. Alicia's laptop sat open on the kitchen table, its screen still on, showing a calendar reminder reading 8 p.m. Meet KL. A check of her recent searches showed that, days before, Alicia had looked up how to get a small business loan and paperwork for a small investor partnership, all normal topics. Nothing suspicious. Their financial records showed no large withdrawals or irregular spending. There were no threatening emails or strange messages. Aside from the text, Marcus received the evening of April 12th. Marcus's favorite jacket was draped over a chair by the door, as if he had been about to put it on, but left it behind in haste, in Kiana and Micah's room. Everything was tidy. Their beds were neatly made, and stuffed animals were lined up on their pillows. The house showed no signs of forced entry. The front door and windows were intact, with no pry marks or broken locks. Nothing was out of place or appeared to have been fought over. Everything radiated an eerie sense of calm, as if the family had simply stepped out for a quick errand and would be right back, but they never returned. The silence inside the home sent chills down the spine. It didn't look like a family ready to leave everything behind, but rather one suddenly cut off in the middle of a happy moment. After combing through the house, police focused on the last known location of the Washington family, Jackson Central Station. It was here that every clue seemed to spiral into a maze. The main entrance camera recorded Marcus carrying Micah, with Alicia holding Kiana's hand, as they entered the ticketing area at 7:45 p.m., but that was the last clear footage of them. Cameras inside the hallway leading to Platform 3, where the security guard said he saw them, showed no clips of them actually descending the stairs. Cameras at the station's other exits also failed to capture them leaving. None of the passengers waiting for the train that night remembered seeing a family of 4 with 2 young children boarding. The station's security guard, who saw Marcus talking with a man in a baseball cap, reported the conversation lasted only a few minutes. He couldn't hear what was said, but remembered the man walking away afterward. And then the Washington family simply vanished. The strange part was that Kiana's small pink glove, something she always carried with her, was found dropped near the vending machines. It was dirty, dusted with grit, but had no blood or suspicious fibers. Forensics found no fingerprints beyond those of the family members. A janitor discovered a crumpled scrap of paper near the ticket area bench, with just 2 smudged words, still legible, Central and 8 p.m. Police couldn't determine who had written it. Reviewing all credit card and train ticket transactions from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. that evening revealed no purchases made with Marcus or Alicia's cards. The trains that night ran normally, with no reports of unconscious passengers or incidents on board. Everything at the station unfolded like a typical evening except for the Washington family's disappearance, which seemed like a ghostly vanishing that still chills anyone who reads the case file. Another crucial clue emerged when police examined the parking lot outside the station. Marcus' old blue pickup truck was still parked exactly where they had left it, with a parking ticket time-stamped 7:32 p.m. The truck hadn't been broken into, there were no signs of forced entry, and the central locking system was intact. Inside, the two child seats were still securely fastened in the back. Kiana's small backpack was on the passenger seat, holding a coloring book and 2 colored pencils. Police also found the packs of cookies Alicia had packed for the kids, unopened, along with 2 children's water bottles, nearly empty. There were no bloodstains, no strange hairs, and no signs of a struggle. The vehicle smelled of nothing unusual. There were no suspicious items or traces of gunpowder. GPS records showed the truck parked at 7:32 p.m. and not moving for the 2 days before police discovered it. Crucially, none of the exterior parking lot cameras caught footage of the Washingtons exiting their truck and walking into the station because a broken light pole created a blind spot. Leaving that section unsupervised by surveillance, this blind spot meant investigators had no visual confirmation of whether the family left the truck on their own or were forced out. The untouched state of the truck, with everyday items like children's snacks and an open coloring book, suggested they had every intention of returning, but something terrible intervened before they could. Every small detail, from the unopened cookies to the coloring book paused mid-page, served as a haunting reminder of how sudden and inexplicable their disappearance was, making the case even more confounding and heartbreaking for those left behind. When police conducted a more thorough search of Marcus' notebook and laptop, they discovered several signs indicating the meeting on the night of April 12th wasn't spontaneous, but had been arranged at least a few days in advance. Alongside the note, 8 p.m. Central Station, and the strange phone number, they found a text from the same number sent on April 9th reading, "Keep this private. I have a proposal to help expand your wife's bakery. Meet the evening of 4/12. This number belonged to a prepaid SIM card registered to no one and deactivated shortly after 8:15 p.m. on April 12th. This led police to believe whoever arranged the meeting knew exactly how to erase their trail. Through friends and relatives, police pieced together a troubling picture Marcus had recently expressed worries about his family's finances. Alicia's bakery was steady, but not thriving enough to hire extra help, and he struggled to balance their income with the mortgage, raising 2 young children, and an outstanding car loan. In recent months, Marcus had actively sought partnership or investment opportunities, hoping to grow the bakery so Alicia wouldn't have to spend endless days and nights baking alone. His dedication moved everyone who knew him. But that same desire to help his wife may have unknowingly led him into a trap, according to a close friend, just a week before the disappearance. Marcus was excitedly saying he'd soon meet someone promising to invest in the bakery, but only if they could finalize the deal in person. The friend warned Marcus to be careful because the arrangement sounded suspicious, but Marcus just smiled and brushed off the concern. This showed Marcus wasn't reckless by nature, but he placed his trust in the wrong person. One investigator remarked, "This is the critical point. A planned meeting with the lure of money. Set in a public place, but one where people can easily be diverted. A train station is the perfect location for someone with bad intentions." Based on the station guard's description of the man in the black baseball cap and jacket, police created a preliminary sketch. The guard estimated the man was around 6 feet tall, about 40 years old, with dark brown skin and a slightly hunched posture when he approached Marcus. He seemed calm, showing no signs of aggression or argument. But oddly, when the guard looked away for just a few minutes, both the Washington family and this man had vanished. A passenger waiting for the train near the ticket area later recalled seeing 2 adults each carrying a child walking toward the hallway leading to Platform 3. However, no cameras recorded them in that corridor because one of the cameras had been malfunctioning since the previous week and was awaiting repair. That blind spot provided the perfect window for someone to act without leaving evidence. Police released the sketch of the unknown man, but no one recognized him or came forward with information. Other witnesses said they saw no struggle, heard no screams or cries, deepening the mystery. Some detectives speculated the man must have convinced Marcus he was trustworthy enough for the entire family to willingly follow him without hesitation. If true, that willingness would suggest the suspect was either extremely skilled at manipulation or someone Marcus already knew and considered a friend. But who could make a cautious, meticulous man like Marcus completely drop his guard? Just days after local news reported the Washington family's disappearance, a name began to emerge in the investigation: Kenneth Lyle, or KL. Kenneth had worked with Marcus about 5 years earlier at a company installing industrial machinery. When the company was acquired, Kenneth was fired over a minor financial discrepancy. Although he wasn't criminally charged, afterward, he drifted from job to job across several states, struggling with debt and instability, according to old co-workers. Kenneth often complained that Marcus had betrayed him by not defending him to their boss, even though Marcus had no decision-making authority at the time. Call logs from Marcus's phone included a number matching the prepaid SIM that sent the April 12th meeting message, directly linking Kenneth to the mysterious contact. But when police tried to locate Kenneth, they discovered he'd disappeared from his rented apartment in Jackson a few days before the family went missing, and no one had seen or heard from him since. Kenneth's criminal record showed no violent felonies, but he had previous arrests for minor fraud. When police contacted his family, they said they hadn't heard from him in years, describing him as someone constantly on the move, never settling down. These facts made Kenneth the prime suspect. However, aside from the prepaid SIM, police found no direct evidence proving Kenneth was at the station that night. Still, it was clear he could have exploited his old connection to Marcus to earn his trust, a key turning point that transformed a missing persons case into a potential criminal investigation. What makes this case so haunting is the complete lack of any concrete clues. No one knows what truly happened after the Washingtons were seen at the ticket area. There were no screams, no blood, no security footage of them leaving the station or boarding a train. Police couldn't confirm whether they vanished willingly or were forced. In the weeks after their disappearance, investigators conducted dozens of searches around the station, scrapyards, abandoned buildings, and the Yazoo River, but found no bodies or physical evidence. The family and community grew desperate. Rumors swept through Jackson. From theories about the family fleeing because of debt to dark speculation they'd been abducted by a human trafficking ring. Neighborhoods near the station were gripped by fear. Parents kept children inside after 7 p.m. As the media spotlight intensified, both Marcus and Alicia's families pleaded for people to share the family's photos, praying someone knew something. But the deeper police dug, the stranger the case became. One detective involved admitted, "I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I've never seen a disappearance like this. No violence, no footage, no sign they vanished as if they never existed." And it's that absolute void of clues that turned the Washingtons' case into Jackson's most chilling mystery, marking the beginning of years of unresolved anguish and unanswered questions. 4 years after that fateful night. In early May 2020, a middle-aged man living in the outskirts of Jackson was fishing along the Yazoo River when he discovered 3 small plastic children's bracelets tangled in a clump of water, hyacinth near the shore. The bracelets were engraved with the names Kiana, Micah, and Alicia, their colors still visible despite layers of dirt caked over them. He immediately called the police. The Yazoo River is nearly 30 miles from Jackson Central Station, making the bracelets' presence there deeply puzzling. Forensic experts confirmed the bracelets belonged to the Washington family, matching photos taken at Alicia's bakery, where she had once shown customers the little birthday gifts she made for her kids. The discovery of the bracelets raised countless new questions. Where had they drifted from? Who threw them into the river? Or had the family once been near this area? The current could have carried them from much farther upstream, or someone might have planted them to mislead investigators. A faint glimmer of hope sparked among the family, imagining the bracelets could mean someone was still alive. But police warned it could just as easily indicate the family had been moved through the Yazoo area, calling the bracelets a cold lead that offered no answers about their fate. Marcus' family was devastated, but clung to the belief the children might still be alive. They pleaded with police to reopen the case and urged the community to come forward with any information, no matter how small, based on the discovery. Jackson police launched a new search operation along the Yazoo River, deploying K-9 units, divers, thermal drones, and volunteer search teams. Over 3 weeks, they scoured every reed-choked bank, checked under every dock, and combed abandoned buildings near the river bends. But the only thing they found was an unsettling silence. No bodies, no clothes, no other biological traces. The Washingtons' disappearance grew even more mystifying. A veteran detective on the team remarked, "This case is like an endless nightmare. Every clue we find fades away like a ghost." Local media revived intense speculation. Some reports pointed fingers at Kenneth Lyle, claiming he might have kidnapped and killed the family. Others suspected a human trafficking ring, but none of these theories had any solid evidence. Some tabloids even irresponsibly suggested the family had faked their disappearance to escape debts, causing further pain for their loved ones. The family spoke out, begging people to stop spreading cruel rumors. Alicia's parents appeared on TV, their voices trembling as they said, "Our daughter was a wonderful mother, and Marcus was a good husband. They would never just leave. They have 2 little kids. Please believe that." Their tears and raw grief left many viewers in tears themselves. Meanwhile, Kenneth Lyle never resurfaced. It was as if he had vanished off the face of the earth. Police contacted agencies in neighboring states, searched identity records, and checked banking transactions. But there were no signs of Kenneth being alive or dead. His name seemed to have been erased from every database. The Washingtons' disappearance wasn't just a private tragedy for their families. It was a collective wound for the entire community near Jackson Station. Residents had watched a loving, model family with 2 bright, joyful children suddenly vanish. Many former customers of Alicia's bakery would still stop by the now-shuttered shop, gazing at the faded sign that read, "Alicia's Bakery, homemade with love." People posted missing posters of the Washington family on neighborhood bulletin boards, in grocery stores, barbershops, even on city buses, each year. The community held candlelight vigils to remember the family and appeal for information. These gatherings weren't about extreme religious fervor, just neighbors coming together, sharing memories, and reminding one another of Marcus, Alicia, and their kids. Parents in the neighborhood began telling their children the Washington story as both a cautionary tale about trust and a reminder to cherish every moment with loved ones. While no one knew what truly happened, everyone agreed the Washington family didn't deserve this fate. They deserved to live, to find joy, to keep building their future. The senseless, inhuman nature of their disappearance cast a lingering shadow over the community, seeding a fear that persisted for years. The Washington family case remains unsolved after all these years. Every lead from surveillance footage to financial records and phone logs has gone cold. Every search, no matter how thorough, led back to nothing. Every investigation, no matter how determined, stalled on the same haunting question: where did they go? And who made them disappear? More than a personal story, the case stirs a deep, unsettling fear that in a crowded city, even in a public place, a family can vanish without a trace. It made people question whether they were truly safe in their own neighborhoods. It made every family wonder, could this happen to us? And even more terrifying, if our loved ones disappear, can society, the law, or our community really protect us? Or are we left hoping for a miracle? Today, the Washington case is still classified as an open missing persons investigation, meaning it remains active but unresolved. Marcus and Alicia's parents have grown frail with age, yet every evening they still sit on their porch, staring into the distance as if waiting for a miracle. They've left Kiana and Micah's bedroom untouched, hoping one day their grandchildren will return. But as the years pass, that hope grows increasingly fragile. Among all the criminal records in Mississippi, this case still stands out, forever marked with the chilling headline, "A family vanished from the heart of the city without a trace." Missing person stories are always haunting. But the disappearance of the Washington family is even more terrifying because it happened right in the middle of a bustling public place, not in a remote forest or an empty desert, but in a busy subway station. And yet, an entire family, 2 adults and 2 small children, could vanish without a single person realizing it. even as you listen to this story. There could still be clues out there, details someone might have noticed but brushed aside. Did a passerby remember seeing the Washington family? Did a parking attendant see their pickup truck that night? Did someone overhear the conversation between Marcus and the strange man? But if no one speaks up, silence will bury the truth. By sharing this story, we're not only keeping the memory of this family alive, we're reigniting hope. Hope that someone out there still remembers, still knows something that could bring them home, or at least bring closure to those left behind. And if you've ever wondered what you can do to help prevent tragedies like this, the answer might begin with simply paying more attention to what's happening around you. Sometimes, noticing one small detail, asking a question when something feels off, or just not turning away when someone seems in need can change the course of an entire family's fate. The Washington family's story is just a private pain. It reflects every family desire to live in safety, to be loved, and to be protected. When tragedy strikes, outsiders often see it as just another headline and quickly move on. But for the families left behind, the loss is endless, lingering like a wound that won't close. They still wake up every morning asking, has anyone found a lead today? They still wait for the phone call that could change everything. They still cling to hope. Even as it grows more desperate with each passing day, only the compassion of a community can bring a measure of comfort. Every share, every word of support, every candle lit during a vigil isn't just a gesture, it's a lifeline, letting victims' families know they're not alone. When we spread their story together, we send a powerful message: every life matters, every family deserves answers, and justice is worth fighting for, because as long as someone remembers, there's still a chance for justice. If you've listened this far, this story has probably touched you. Don't let it just fade away. Let it move you to care more about what's happening around you. Share this video with anyone who might know something, or simply to make sure more people know the Washington family once existed, once laughed, once dreamed, and were taken too soon. If you were near Jackson Central Station or along the Yazoo River on the night of April 12, 2016, and remember anything, even the smallest detail, please contact Jackson authorities or leave an anonymous tip on the hotline. Or if you ever heard Kenneth Lyle speak about Marcus or Alicia, speak up now, because what you know might finally pierce the fog of this mystery. And if you don't have information, the smallest thing you can do is share this story. The more people know, the greater the chance the truth will come to light. If you feel moved, leave a comment saying, I remember, as a promise not to forget them, not to let their story disappear into silence. The story of the Washington family has no tidy ending, only a long, painful wait filled with questions no one can answer. But sometimes, an open ending reminds us that justice doesn't always come quickly, but it's always worth demanding. In a world where breaking news pushes old headlines aside within hours, what matters most is refusing to let their story be forgotten. Every time you think of them, every time you tell someone else their story, you're helping keep the flame of justice burning. Because every child like Kiana and Micah deserves to grow up safe. Every parent like Marcus and Alicia deserves to raise their children in peace. And every family, no matter their community, color, or circumstances, deserves to be valued and protected. Share this video, leave a comment, join the search for answers. Because as long as we demand justice, there will always be hope for the Washingtons and for every family who has suffered similar heartbreak. This isn't just a story about a disappearance. It's a story about love, perseverance, and the unshakable belief that the truth will not stay buried forever.